Greetings, everybody. This is Marcel Williams here, yet again with another talk. Today is the 1st of May 2025. I trust that you are well and that you are enjoying, for many, it's the long weekend, and that you will have a good rest from your activities. Today, I'm going to continue with another talk. I'm going to call it a side note yet again because I'm not going to talk about prophecy, but I want to bring up something that is quite relevant in our modern day society. You all remember a few years ago, let's say a decade or so, there was a lot of talk about the ozone layer that's being depleted. There were photos and there were videos and there were uh, different documentaries dealing with this issue. But it was quite a strange thing to say. For instance, they said that the ozone layer can be rescued if we stop using aerosols, and they actually blamed the depletion of the ozone layer on the use of aerosols and the farts of cattle on the farms and the fields, etc., which is such an absurd idea. If you look at the size of the earth, the oceans, and you know how the earth regulates itself through its winds and the oceans, etc. It's a stupid idea that even the farts of animals can be responsible for this. You know, those of us that have traveled extensively will have realized the size of the earth and what it entails. And it's an absurd idea to say that the farts of cattle is responsible for the depletion of the ozone layer, and that we should save the earth by stopping these things. And then they say it's backed by science. You know, the term "trust the science" is quite common in these modern days. I'm going to come back to it later on, but basically, we see that I would say the world is actually ruled or run by stupid people. It's a controversial statement to make, but that's just one example that I just mentioned now. We always thought that leaders were smart people, knowledgeable, and that advisors to these leaders, presidents, etc., governments, are even more smarter. But reality shows something else. For instance, I'll give you another example of what we call climate change. We get a lot of hype about it in recent times. They want to cancel out fossil fuels, coal energy at your stations or coal stations that generate electricity for the different countries. They want to cancel it out and move to what is called clean energy or green energy. And that is basically to use wind power and solar power and the like. But when you look at it, actually, it is actually a strange situation because, just to give you an example, the major countries that do still use coal, China, for instance, has 250 coal stations still in operation, and they're not closing down those stations. And then the United States of America has 205 coal stations. Now, here in South Africa, there's only 14 stations and one nuclear power station. Yet they want to persuade South Africa to close down these fossil fuel coal stations, using coal stations for power. And they wanted not just to phase out, but to close ASAP. And a leader from a Western country came to the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, gave several million in favor of closing down the coal stations, which is ridiculous, because the engine of the country requires that power, and it's actually not even enough because there's been a lot of cutting of the energy by using what we call power shedding, load shedding in the country. So if we come back to the point about aerosols and the farts of animals, the ridiculous side of it is that they want to change everybody's opinion about these basic stupid ideas, and to the point where it's an insult to the intelligence of people. And they take this idea to the schools through the curriculum and require teachers to teach this nonsense as if it is actual fact. And there, that point that I made earlier on, trust the science is quite common. You know, when we had that medical crisis in 2020, 21, and 22, 23, the common point was made: trust the science. Now, trust the science. If the science is all skewed up related to energy, etc., and the ozone layer, as I mentioned now, then what is this thing about trust the science? The science is something wrong with the science. And hence the reason that we have a situation where even somehow, they want to block the truth. The people that are running the show, as I said, basically, it seems or it appears to be that the leaders in the world are basically stupid people that believe this and want the curriculums in the schools to change in favor of nonsense. And they usually use the term to block people that want to ask questions by saying conspiracy theorists. They give the accusation or the term conspiracy theorists, which is absurd, because basic science means that you must ask questions. In order that you do a scientific research, there is a question that's posed, and then the research is based on finding the information related to the question in a scientific method, scientific methodology. The people that study postgraduate and further know exactly what this is about. And that is true science, when people ask the questions, not the what is paid for, and people conjure up concepts and ideas. So they believed this nonsense. They wanted others to believe the nonsense, and they went to the teachers in the schools to teach the nonsense by changing the curriculum. And of course, the teachers simply carry out instructions because it's a hierarchy. The curriculum comes from higher up, and the teachers in the schools must just carry out the education policy that's given from higher up. One other point I just want to conclude with is, for instance, the example of Darwin's theory of evolution. Take note the word theory. A theory is something that's not proven as fact, but in the schools it's actually accepted, especially in the United States of America schools, that evolution is a basic fact, and it's been taught to the young children that people evolved from somewhere, animals evolved from the ocean, and so such nonsense. Now, if we to follow these theories, then actually it's a method and a manner of discounting God's creation. So the whole purpose of all of these theories is to bring people into a disbelief in the basic information that's recorded in the Word of God, the Bible. Because in Genesis, the first book in the Bible, it talks about the creation, and people want to talk about millions of years of development on earth, whereas there's another narrative to that that's being discounted. And in fact, we're really at the stage where the Bible is rubbished by many people. So I just wanted to share these things with you, perhaps to get you to ponder about it, to research about it, because it's very relevant. I remember I said the question is, Does it matter? And I say, yes, these things do matter hugely, because it can be a matter of life and death. So enjoy your weekend further. And till next time.